I'm so dehydrated this morning. It's like...
So you're having coffee because you're dehydrated?
Coffee and the water.
Okay.
Coffee to keep it going.
To balance it all back out to
Yeah,
dehydration.
I'm going to be fucking dehydrated and get home and go from there.
Cool.
Go. Do your thing.
Welcome back to another episode of the Murph Martai Show.
In this next song, you must march around the room. Here we go.
I know what the fuck I'm doing. Just sit down in the chair.
Another special edition.
It's another special edition.
Round two.
Round two.
Yes,
Round two.
this is probably a bit more elongated round. The last one was like 10 minutes.
What's our timeline?
Oh, we got probably a good half an hour.
6.
Solid.
Minimum.
Sweet.
Easy.
So Mitch Creek, for those that don't know, I feel like I'm yelling because it feels like it's so far away now.
You're still going to pick us up, I promise.
I'll let you do the introduction. How do you want to do it?
You do it.
You do it.
Who are you?
Hi everyone, I'm Mitch. 28 years old. I'm male.
ASL, 6 locations, do it.
Grew up in Horsham, country Victoria. Known for my basketballing and probably my extreme social life and what I do in the...
Extreme social life.
I guess, what I do in the off time.
Sponsored by Red Bull for it?
I'm actually trying to do something at the moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really?
so I think, is it IGM? They do some of the sponsorship last year, I think it is.
Okay.
One of the people there actually want to do a bit of a behind the scenes kind of doco style thing where they get my social life, a bit of the cars, bikes, skydiving, the adventure side of me, so away from the basketball. So we'll see.
Segue, man.
Oh,
Perfect.
beautiful.
That was brilliant.
So, tell us about, obviously, everyone knows you play basketball, cool. We're going to be away from that today a little bit.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
Because every podcast you do, it's basketball orientated.
Yeah.
And we're bored, both of us.
Yeah, I am too.
So that's the last thing we're going to talk about for basketball today. So, tell us about your adventure sports. Obviously, you ride motorbikes. Do you ride push bikes, mountain bikes at all?
I have. I've gone away from it a little bit. Dirt bikes, road bikes, drag bikes.
Yep. Drag bikes too.
Cars, yeah. My turbo bike's are basically a drag bike. It's like 8
Kawasaki.
seconds.
Yeah, okay.
It's like 8 second drag bike.
Do you ride that much, or is it more? What have you got? You got your Kawasaki. You got
So I've got a 2018 R1, Yamaha R1, which is like a fully worked tune, full aquaponing system. Then I've got a 2020 Harley Breakout 114, which I've got a sponsorship. Shout out Harley Davidson.
Nice. I haven't seen a photo of that. You've got to send that through.
Yeah, no, it's just working,
Okay.
waiting. And then I've got a 2004 custom ZX10 Turbo, which is about 255 horsepower at the crank, which is like custom billet swing arm.
Is that
240 rear tyre? Like it's massive, and all it does is do wicked burnouts in Mexico. I didn't show you.
You fly to Mexico?
Yeah, I fly to Mexico, I ride, and then I come back. Yeah, that's an absolute weapon. And then a couple of cars. I got a 1969 Pontiac Firebird.
And that thing's sick.
That thing's wicked. Got a matte black, same as my R1.
Have we got photos of that?
I do have photos of that.
Can we put them up?
Yes, we
We
can.
do flash these up.
There was also skids in Mexico from the time I was over there. I
I
don't know who was driving though, so it's actually going in at the moment. It's actually getting a whole bunch of custom audio, interior, new dash, everything. So it's
I saw his Instagram about
Give me
that.
background, I got nothing on this.
So I'll show you
Yeah.
you'll show me the photo later of the
Sure.
Pontiac. Wicked looking car.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think of it from. I relate it to.
Think about Fast and the Furious. You
Yeah.
know Dominic Toretto's black
Yeah.
Charger that he's got. Imagine that without the big blower, but like matte black lowered on the ground, fully murdered
American
out
muscle.
black car. It's
White kid
opposite.
from Horseman who drives
Yeah, it's that.
Sick.
And then the Mercedes, I got an ML63 Stage 1 tune set up, which is off its head. Like
Yeah,
this thing roasts. It's a SUV, but this thing roasts any high-end performance car on the road. Like this thing 0 to 100's under 4 seconds, and it's like the size of a Range Rover. It's ridiculous. And
That's not standard.
I'll show you a video of that. You can put that up too. That once again was driven in
Mexico.
Tijuana, I think. Yeah, Vanuatu somewhere. Unknown driver as well. So look, cars and bikes are a huge passion of mine. But yeah, it'd be something that I'd really like to get into after basketball as well.
Is the Merc tuned or is it standard?
No, it's tuned. So they come out about 420 kilowatts standard, but then you had like intakes downpipe tune, remap all the throttle response. This thing's like scares the absolute piss out of people.
Wow.
So
What year is it?
It's a 2014. So last year they made them. They're off its absolutely off its head. Like, it's scarier than any car I've driven.
Wow.
Because you feel like you're in a freight train when you drive this thing. Like, if you've done 0 to 100 in under 4 seconds in any car, you're moving quick. Yeah. And this thing's like probably about 3.6, 3.8, which is the same as like faster than an M3, M5. This is faster than most Lamborghinis, Ferraris to 100. Like, this thing's mental.
Does it look it? Like,
it's low key. It looks like gangster, and it's like I've had all detailing, badging, like some of the trim and stuff like that on the outside was wrapped, but it was painted basically two tones, white with like basically top half is black.
Similar to your Range Rover then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was pretty crazy, but yeah, this thing's the most fun thing I've ever driven in my life.
Are we going to Vanuatu then?
Yes, we'll go for a cruise. When you come to Melbourne, we'll go for a cruise.
That's sick.
When
does
to
start?
go to Vanuatu to do a burnout.
Yeah. And then Mexico.
Yeah.
For the bike, and then we'll walk back on the way through. So when the passion start? And what did it start with?
I've always just loved cars and bikes. I've always had die-cast model cars, motorbikes, things like that. I had dirt bikes and stuff on the farm when I was younger, but I was never a good rider, none of that. So I got into it and I was like, I'd love to own a car one day. My dream was to have, you know, in my eyes, one day I was like, I'd love to own, this sounds a bit, I guess, like, not egocentric and all that, but it's more like I've always wanted to have like a $100,000 car. I was like, I want to work my ass off where I can afford a really nice car.
Nice.
And there's no judgment here. This is judgment free zone.
Yeah. So I was just like, I was a small country town kid. Then I worked my ass off, and I was always doubted. I was always picked on when I was younger. I didn't really have a friendship circle to hang around with. I felt like the outcast. Mm-hmm. I never felt comfortable in my own skin. And I was like, I just want to be great at something, and I want to apply myself. And I did that with basketball. I got my opportunities, and that has been talked about plenty of times. And I was like, I want to fucking own something that's mine.
Yeah.
So it started out and I bought the Range, and then that was just a simple car to start off with. And then I was like, well, I want to get an old school car, and I want a motorbike and this. And I had, you know, I've had probably a dozen motorbikes now that I've always wanted to own. I was like, I want to own this one now. I want an MV Agusta.
Yeah.
I want a Z1000. Yeah, that got stolen. And it just turned up, actually.
Wow.
They found it the other day. I got a call from the coppers, and I was like, oh, I've done something wrong here. I was like, what have I done? I was like, from Mexico video. These sneaky dogs. But massive shout out to them. They found it. Like, they chased him, and he fled the scene, and they found my bike, and they emailed me the photos the other day. So I'm waiting to see if I can potentially buy it back.
So this was recent?
Oh, buy it back?
Yeah, you can buy it. So the insurance company paid me out for the bike. I was insured, but now they own it. So it's got to get assessed, and you might use it as a track bike or something like that, which would be sick. So it got stolen, and the old girl might come back home.
Is it the 600, that one?
No, that's the supercharged 800. So it's an F3 Agusta.
Okay.
So, yeah. But that was
how did it get stolen? I'm like, this story said, tell me.
Yeah, I was in Melbourne. My sister was over just pre-COVID, and we're getting everything organised. We go to Kmart. I literally take my bike out of the shed because I moved some stuff around because I've got 4 bikes and I have my 2 cars. So I was like, I had to reshuffle some stuff because I want to go riding. I want to take my sister. So we move that bike out because that's got a passenger seat. And then we move it out, we leave it out there, I start it, let it run, warm up, and I was like, we'll go to Kmart and come back. We're not even an hour, come back, and it's in the like front of the shed driveway, like, you gotta go into our actual place, and there's cameras everywhere. And someone just came in with a removalist truck, put the bike on, and drove off.
Wow.
I came home and I was like, the fuck's my bike?
Within
and my
hour.
sister's just like, oh, you know, it's gotta be somewhere. And I was like, oh, Gibbo or someone playing funny buggers. And
Doesn't
it was gone.
Lock?
So
steering lock?
I'd taken that off.
Oh,
but even if you do, you can put a front lift on it and then just like move them around.
Yeah, okay.
It's super easy if you've got the gear. And next door there was like 30 young workers working on a house, building construction. So I was just like, I fucking reckon one of these dogs have been like, rah, rah, this is here, we can come and nick this, he's out.
Shit.
And it was out, and they walked past the driveway every day, like, they were right there, like, there was probably 30 young guys that were working. So I was like, I walked over and said to the foreman, I was like, mate, if my bike just turns up, I won't burn your house down. But if it doesn't, I was like, there may be a spot fire. Like, this thing, I had this bike for 6 weeks. I looked everywhere for an all-white Agusta, and then literally had all the like, exhaust all done, tuned, everything. This thing is off its head. Fire, I was pissed off.
I bet you were.
How do you fucking call the removals within an hour though? That's the thing, right?
Well, I feel like they had
Got a
the
truck
gear,
with it.
whatever else already, and they did it. So apparently who they found the bike near, where they chased the guy, was in the area of a well-known baddie. So they told me that, and I was like, These cheeky buggers, eh? But we got it back, so we're just kind of waiting to find out what happens from here.
Yeah.
Because I used to keep my bike at the front of this place.
Yeah.
And I thought it'd be fine because I'd have the steering lock in and it points to the wall.
Like,
So
no one
if you
get-
move
you
it, it'll
can't
hit the
move
wall.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be sweet. Within the first week of being here, someone stole my bike cover. I'm like, no, it's going away.
It's not the right cover.
Just like a plastic cover. I'm like, no, this is going back in the
They're
garage.
like $50.
Exactly.
My car one for my Pontiac was like $30. I just bought a cheapie. It was like,
And someone took it.
someone took
Yeah.
one. One like I'd blown off on the side, like warranted. I took it off and just like tucked it in the bush, and I was like, I'm gonna be back in a little bit. I just need to go get it washed and then put the cover back on. I was too lazy, and they took it out of the garden. I was like, who does this?
See, I've got mine in the shared car park at my place, right?
Yeah.
And every time I come home in the car, I'm like, someone's gonna fucking nick the bike. Because same thing, I mean, it's great cover outdoors.
Yeah.
And I swear, it's gonna happen. But I'm like, I live with a whole bunch of oldies. They're all in like my apartment blocks, just all oldies. So I'm like, they steal it.
You see the old nonna, just
Yeah,
like,
right? Just off the street.
And
she's one wheel just hanging.
That's mad. Anyway, sorry, we interrupted. You got stolen, then you got wild bikes.
Yeah, but I don't know where we're at.
We talk about where it started, then you got the Augusta.
Yeah.
The range, you got the Augusta.
Yeah, so then it went to like, I wanted my one bike. I've had a bunch now, but then it went to another one, then I sold that. Then I had a BMW like S1000 RR, like all carbon, black gold trim. It was off its head. And
That was
trend
that
here,
bike,
always off its head.
I was
Like,
gonna
let's
say,
just go
everything
to
you've got
something
is
that
always on its
goes
head,
mental.
yeah.
And then I sold that regrettably when I went to the States, came back, and at the time I went over to America and I signed for a little contract. Like it's like a $35,000 contract.
Yep.
And then you got the 10-day, which is like 50 grand. So I went over for 80 grand and I was like, I just want to see if I can make it. And I came back and I had done really well. So I made extra money and I was like, this is sick. Like I ended up making quite a bit and I was like, this is unreal. I have the options to do whatever. So I came back and bought the range. I came back and bought a bike and I was like, what do I... So I put money aside for a house and everything, and then I was like, well, I want another bike. And then the ZX10 Turbo popped up. And at the time it was running fine, and it took me about a year to get it running to how I wanted it to be done. Had like turbo rebuild, top end, like everything was kind of like rewired, just got back to where it needed to be. And then it's been mental.
Yeah.
Like
Is it
absolutely
roadworthy?
Yeah. So I ended up having to get it registered in New South Wales. And thanks to a trusty mate over there, we got it done. But it's
This is such a dodgy show.
This is such a dodgy show. You know what?
So-
I love it. I fucking love
So
it.
it is roadworthy, it's registered, it's insured, everything's good. It's just got New South Wales plates. And the
Yeah,
plates
okay.
are very much necessary. SLPRY. Slippery.
Ah, okay.
It's like,
So
Yeah.
every time, literally if
I
you're on that
saw it, I
bike,
probably get it. But
yeah, you
no.
look and go slippery, and you're like, oh, I don't get it. But then you ride that thing, and like second and third gear, even fourth gear, you can be doing 140 on the freeway, which I would never do. And you can just roll on throttle, no clutch or anything, and the boost will kick in at 8,000, and you can just blow a power slide, just like lines up the freeway, which I would never do.
No.
You ride safe and wear your helmet, but. You like know how to ride pretty well, and you can clutch it, and you can slide these things up the highway. Like this isn't a wheelie bike or anything.
Yeah.
This is a cruiser
Well,
and
you
just a
got
lot of
extended
power.
back end, don't you?
7-inch extended rear arm,
Yeah.
like swing arm, and it's just this thing's just built to go fast.
Yeah.
And it's freaking wicked.
Would you take it through twisties or not that kind of bike?
No, it's not one of those bikes. But look, it's unreal. I love them. I just wanted to keep going, and then the Pontiac came up. And I'd always wanted a Ponty. I just loved Pontiacs. Chargers, GDOs. I'm not really an Australian muscle car guy like your HQ, your GDS,
Yeah.
your Fords. Like, I do appreciate them and I love them, but I am a guy that's just, I love American muscle. I had a Ford Mustang, 2004 Mustang convertible when I was in the States. I bought it for $2,000. This thing was a 5-litre V8. It's so good. It was in New York, minus 20, soft top convertible. I can freeze my ass off every day. I had a snow coat and like everything I needed to stay warm. The heater didn't work. Had a 6-sound system and I bought it off this muso for $2,000.
That's
Seth Selwyn, shout out mate. He sold it to me $2,000.
What would that be worth here in Australia?
I don't know. It was like a 2,000,
15.
maybe 10 to 15 grand, maybe
Yeah.
more. I don't know. Like it was a good nick, all black, like original wheels, tires. Everything was like original.
Yeah.
And this thing was just sick. It was unreal. So it's just so unnecessary that we can put a photo up of that as well.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's pretty cool.
We have like cut in it. It was like
Yeah.
coming through here.
Yeah.
So you came out with money, house, bikes, cars, everything on its head. Business.
Yeah.
What'd you do with that?
So there's a few things I've got my fingers in the pie at the moment. Some I can talk about, some I can't talk about because we're waiting for stuff to actually go ahead. But I linked up with some people, strangely enough, through members' phone calls. So we do birthday shout-outs and stuff like that, and we call and thank our members for being members. And I called this gentleman, and he'll go unnamed right now, but I called him, great energy, awesome vibe, really nice dude, massive fan, kids, family, really smart businessman. And we just started talking on the phone, and I'm literally laying in bed, and I've got 200-300 names to get through, like over a week or two.
Yeah.
And I'm just calling, yep, thanks, rah, trying to have a good couple of minute chat or whatever. And some people you'd really vibe with, you'd talk to, because COVID, bored as hell, really hard to get through that patch. But these were actually really nice conversations to have with strangers that are big fans and, support the club. Started talking, vibing, rah, what have you been doing? And I was like, well, I was a part of Gym to You, which was gym import equipment, and it was like a business that we had. Now that's kind of slowed right down at the moment. It's been a lot of work for a lot of guys behind the scenes, so we've kind of gone away from that. But at the time, put in a bit of money, got a bit of money back. It was good. But for me, it was something to learn and develop and just be hands-on with business. And I didn't want to go and sit through 3-4 years of uni to learn something I can learn from someone who's 10 times smarter than me. And that was the best way to do it, mentoring. And he would love the idea, and he's like, all right, I have this business, and this is what I'm doing. And I was like, holy shit, that's one of Australia's largest businesses in this area. And I was like, wow, that's not like, I was like, would you ever be willing to like sit down and grab a coffee? And he's like, I'd love to link up. Like, love it. He goes, I love who you are, love what you represent, love how you go about it. Sat down, caught up, and to this day, like, he'll be here Wednesday, and I'm getting him in the box to sit,
Nice.
Like, that's how like cool this guy is. Like, I'll bring him somewhere and he'd be like, hey, yeah, here, I'll get your family covered. Yep. Like, that's how close we are right now. So it's unreal that I get to have that experience. So, he's said to me like, hey, we want to come and catch up. I'll come down. Yep, I got you, mate. No worries. Yeah, like, cool. It's really good. From that, we just vibed, and now we've got a business opportunity together that we're doing, and that's hopefully going to get over the line in the next probably month. And then in 3 to 5 years, that's hopefully my retirement plan. That gives me the ability, there's a 3-phase thing to it that we're doing that involves other things of property, investment, and that's what I want to try and get into. I've done a lot of research and study now in my own time with people that are smarter than me.
Such a big boy now.
My
so
God,
growing up.
big boy!
back when I met him in, 2000?
At the Grand, probably
14.
drinking wet pussy shots. Drinking Pulse cans. It's changed. And look, I'll be honest, I still have fun. I still enjoy myself. But at the same time, I know that I got to set myself up for life after basketball. And I've got a long career ahead of me. I've got a lot of good years of playing at a high level, having a large earning capacity. So I invest right. I develop my business and my knowledge. I make a lot of mistakes. I fuck up a shitload. And I learn. And then I give myself a chance when I'm retiring at whenever, say 48, from basketball, who knows. But when I retire in probably 7, 8, 9 years, whenever it is, and my body says, it's time to just hang up the boots. I don't have to go, well, I need to play for another 3 years because I need to try and do this. Yeah. I've done it now, and the last 2-3 years, so I can do that when I'm, if I need to, you can be like, I love how Kyrie and those guys are like, fuck, I might retire. I'm 24 years old or whatever he is, I might fucking retire. Good. You earned that right. People go, well, you're playing, you deserve to play. He doesn't deserve to do anything. He's earned his keep. Yeah. Go home, take care of your family, take care of those around you, and enjoy your fucking life.
Segue into your comment about the GOAT, right? The reason I like Jordan is because of the business side of things.
Oh. Yeah. And I think Kobe would have been right there with him. Yeah. Yeah, but he hadn't had a chance, right? Yeah. And I think that's fantastic because I don't hear it a lot from players at elite levels. Because they focus on the now, not on that. But if you can do both, then you know what I mean, you get the money, you got some time, link up, do some shit. That's why I want to sort of segue into that as well with a short time. What's the plan then? You got the business started, because you're talking about Gym 2 before. You know what I mean? Like that all kind of happening. So I think it's fucking fantastic.
And that comes down to my agency. Mogul Sports have been incredible. Like, I can't say enough about them. Like, they've been unreal from day dot with Jai Watson and Marquise Taylor. absolutely impeccable. Our goal is to raise X amount of dollars in the off season through sponsorship, endorsements, things like that. Yes.
Yep.
So they come on board, and for us, like we have a goal in mind. Like it started out, it was like, hey, let's try and get 30, 40 grand from non-basketball stuff. And then it was like, hey, let's go to 60, 70. Now it's like, hey, let's go to 100. Like, can we get to 150? Like you try and make money. If you can make $15,000 a year and you figure out per week what that is, take away 12 weeks, right? Because you get busy, you do shit. 40 weeks to make 15 grand. If you have 5 ideas that you could do, that's what I was told. 5 ways to make money to total $15,000. You can figure that shit out. That's not that hard. That takes maybe an hour a day, 7 hours a week, 40 weeks. It's a lot of hours to put some shit together. So they sit there and do that for me now. And I come to me, hey, what about this, this, and this? All right, yeah, cool. Now you become bigger. Then you get a bigger brand. Then you get a better image. And then it's like, well, we can demand more. You grow everything, and then we grow together. Then they grow as an organisation of mogul sports. That for me is like the best decision I've ever made in my career. Is going with them, because they've just taken care of me on and off the court. They call me late at night. They check on me when I'm injured. They check on me when I play a great game. Hey mate, how you feeling? You good? You locked in for the next one? Great game, but that was we can see more. We see gaps. We can help you. Let's push this. Great job here. Way to motivate. Comes in, says good day every time. Marquise flies from LA to come and watch my games here. Yeah, wow. Like, that's commitment to someone that I committed to them and said, I'll do everything you say. You told me to play here, $50. I'll play the $50. Yeah. You think I can make it in the NBA? I went there and I turned down huge money in Germany and playing over in Europe to go and make 1/8 or 10th of what I could have made. And I was like, fuck that. Like, what do you reckon? I reckon this. Cool, I'm there. Got on a flight a week later.
What's that?
How long have you been with them for now?
Oh, jeebus. Maybe 4 or 5 years. I don't actually know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a minute now.
What made you sign with them? Like, where did the trust factor come from? Because that's a lot of trust.
Marquise had came to games and he came to me and was like, I don't represent anyone big. But I love what you do. I love who you are. I'll work harder than any other motherfucker. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then that went on for probably a year or two.
Every game?
Not every game, but he was in and out a lot.
Everyone.
And
for a year.
yeah, but like he was always coming up to games. Never like came up and was like trying to nag at me. Hey, Creek, great game, mate. Love what you're doing. Thanks, mate. No worries. And I probably didn't recognise him for a long time. And then after a long, I was like, who do you represent? And he's like, this guy or this guy. And I was like, okay. Like at the time, they weren't big names.
Did you know he was an agent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And let it be. And then Jai kind of came in the picture, and I kind of knew of him. And then I was like, one day I went up to him and I said, hey, let's go get dinner. And that next night, I think we went out and went to a place in bottom of the city, and Star of Siam, and literally, I think that's how you say it.
Cross the road from Barbecue City.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's my place.
I remember it because I went there, we had dinner, and at the end of it, I said, you got a contract? And they're like, what? Oh, yep. And they pulled it out. Didn't know that they were going to go that way, and I just said, you got a contract, I'll sign right now. And I signed.
Were you with an agent at the point, or not?
Yes, I had been, and I expressed to them that I wasn't going to be going ahead with it.
Yeah, okay.
So
that, on their behalf, is called the briefcase technique.
There you go.
Explain.
The briefcase technique is if you're going into a meeting, you want an outcome, you come prepared for whatever the outcome is. They want you to sign, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to come with a contract, because that's what we want in the end.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when we steal the conversation, it's bam, there it is. And you're like, you're prepared.
Yeah, and we didn't actually even talk about, I was like, hey, it's not like, what can I get
from
you?
Yeah,
what can you get from me? What do you do? Who do you do this? We just talked, vibed, got along real well, and I was like, you commit to it. I was like, at any time over the first 3 years, if I'm not happy, or 2 years, or whatever it was, I was like, I'm walking. I get to walk.
Yeah.
And he's like, yep, absolutely. He goes, I guarantee you, that's the easiest deal I'll ever make, because he knows what he was going to put in. And to his credit, today died.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about the tats. So when you first got this one, which is one of your first, I'm like, so you got some trees and birds on your arm, man. What's that about? And you said that's my happy place.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the story for it. That's like where you like to go in your mind.
So the last time, and I haven't really told anyone this, my parents split when I was about 16. We used to go to a place called Hall's Gap, and there was a creek and stuff like that around there, and it flowed under this little bridge, and it went into this ice creamery. And it was a place that we always used to love to go as a family. And it's the last really happy memory I have of my family being together.
Yeah, wow.
So for me, that's the happy place I get to go to.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
it's very nice.
So
what's the rest of the tattoos?
So I've never actually gone through my tattoos and spoken about them. There's bits and pieces that do stand out. Like I've got my dog's puppy paw prints when they were taken, when I had them. There's bits and pieces that do flow on and everything else. My left leg has just kind of nearly been finished.
There's two whole legs covered. You won't see in the video.
You might get
on the audio.
Yeah. So there is a lot going on.
Is there any just random? I like the look of it. Stick it there.
Nah. They've all got meaning. Yeah. Like just things that have happened in my life, lessons I've learned, people I've met, and experiences I've had that have changed my life for the better or for the worse. I've not just been like, oh, this happened, tattooed on my leg, or put it on my shoulder, on my back. Like simple ones, like I have my family's name from the top of my neck all the way down my spine. And it's just Jeffrey, Beverly, Shannon and Stacey, and then there's a family seal, and that's because family for me is the backbone of everything I focus on. So that's why it runs down my spine. Across my shoulders and around my waist there's two quotes, and one says, the pride of success creates our bond, and that's between my family, my dad, my mum, like understanding what I've put in, what they've sacrificed, and how proud I am that they were able to give me the chance to drive to Echuca, to Ballarat, to Ararat, to Bendigo, to these places, to buy me shoes when we struggled to live in government housing or whatever it was. Like they got shit done. And I haven't had to work a 7 till 6 job building houses like my dad had to do, working his ass off. And I know that took a lot out of him, and that he sacrificed a lot of time with me and my sister and probably my family because he was trying to take care of us. So understanding where you came from and how people got there to help you. The other one is, how many days in your life do you actually remember? And it's a simple question people probably don't ask themselves enough. And how many days when you fucking pick it out and go, I remember that day. That's something that should resonate with people. And if you don't have many of those, you're probably not focused on the right things.
Good one.
Yeah, that's going to be one of your special clips, right?
That'll be on the little clip for sure.
That's sick.
So there's a couple of those ones. I have 2 sets of funny ones. I have a little man watering the garden and a little man mowing the lawns. 2 little stick figures.
Do you ask where that one is? Because I can imagine what that one is.
You can, that's where they are. And on my, I had that done with one of my really good mates, Doyley, throwing you under the bus, mate. Adam Doyle, you can tag him. And then on top of my feet, I've got 2 stick figure men. One's dunking the basketball and one's about to dunk a basketball. My 2 best mates growing up, we couldn't dunk, obviously, because we were really short, unathletic white kids on the farm. Before Murph made, very much before that. And we used to have a bike ramp because I used to ride BMX and mountain bikes. And there was like our veranda would roll off, and it was probably 3 foot high, and there was a ramp that we built that rolls off the edge, so you could ride off the veranda as a bit of a speed and come off and go
right off the veranda.
Yeah, so because we had
gravel, sports.
Yeah, because we had we had 6 acres at a time, and there was just like sand and like gravel everywhere, so you couldn't get up speed. You needed to hit these jumps because they were pretty big jumps.
So you decided, what if I ride off a roof?
No, not that crazy. Veranda, mate. So we'd ride off the veranda because that was 20 meters. There was probably 20 meters of run up. You get on solid wood.
Veranda from Earth. He thinks it's on top of the roof. Lower.
Oh, I'm thinking,
you are a goose. all that headspace and no brain.
Okay.
Yeah.
The decking.
Yes.
The decking.
Yes.
I think the top.
That's a pergola.
Language, just communication barriers. Proceed.
And we'd roll off the edge because you get a lot of speed up, and then it'd just roll into like basically where the basketball court was in the backyard, and then the jumps would be just off that, and we had a big dirt mound, and that was sick. But because of that, we couldn't dunk, so we'd take that ramp, put it on the basketball court, run up, jump off that because it was 2.5 feet high, whatever, and we'd jump and we'd dunk the ball. Your arm would be this high above the rim, chin would be over the hoop. And we'd had like an old school camera, and we'd just get it so the ramp wasn't in it, and you'd see the court. And there's the funniest photos, me and my Horsham Hornets, like, you know, kid out, my mate in his like NBA jersey, headbands, sweatbands, like mad dogs, just trying to dunk. So that was like one of my younger childhood memories that I loved, and I was like, I want to get my 2 best friends.
Is that because they still can't dunk? You take them with you to the rim?
Well, Michael O'Callaghan was just as or more athlete than I was. He was an absolute legend of a guy, and still is. And then Tyler, you know, he's a family man now, and he's a cricketer and plays locally. He's an absolute weapon. So those 2 boys are on me for good. So
that's sick.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then new business, I should have said this before, but I'm going to go into it now. New business opportunities for you is...
That you can talk about.
That we can talk about is being a barber. So that's a big thing for you lately.
COVID.
How's that
so Gibbo and I live together now, and literally we're not allowed to get haircuts. Like COVID rules, like there's certain things we're allowed to do. Yeah, we're not allowed to do it. So that's like part of our protocols with the NBL and the teams is we're not allowed to go in.
So it's allowed in Melbourne, but as a team you're not? Or?
Well, just like anywhere, that's basically one of the guidelines. So, you know, there's places I can be and can't be and whatever else, and that's fine. But there's certain things that we are and aren't allowed to do. And at the end of the day, we, you know, I decided, well, if we can't really get haircuts, this was way back in COVID, like, maybe I'll just cut your hair, Gibbo. And he's like, all right, cool. Cut it, and the first times weren't great. I had probably like a $20 like shaver it wasn't very good, and a blunt pair of scissors that were $10 from the chemist. And then just watched, and I had enough haircuts now to know like how they do it. And I just was trial and error. And then it got to the point where I was actually not shit house. And then one of the other boys was like, hey, can I get a cut? It's actually pretty good. And then I did a few more cuts. And now I do basically most of the team's hair. Like coach, physio, 3 or 4 of the boys consistently. Some kind of come in and out, yeah.
This is sick.
So I made an Instagram page called The Unqualified Barber.
I'm going to follow it.
And it's on my Insta, it's in there. But yeah, I haven't posted many of the haircuts because, you know, I'm not, it's just something for me. It's a bit of a gag. Like,
are you going to get a qualification or just keep going?
Nah. I've actually had, you know how many people I've actually had reach out now and be like, mate, that's actually really good. I know barbers that I've worked with for years now that are fucking atrocious. This is actually pretty good. And I was like, really? Like, I don't know, because I'm really picky and I try and make sure I give a perfect effort. Even if it's a haircut and I'm tired, I'm like, alright, I know I'm not qualified, clearly, but I'm going to try and fix you up.
Do you charge for it or you're kind of like...
No, I don't charge anyone. Yeah. No, just do it.
What can you do for bald spots?
I can, no, I can't do anything, sorry. I think that's been a while, mate. That's why you're wearing a hat.
This is my brand, my trademark.
Yeah.
In everything, I've got a hat on.
I did think, like, so Murph texted me, was it this morning? You texted me about the new venture. It said hairdressing, and I was like, let's do this.
Yeah. So it is actually pretty cool. I've done some pretty cool cuts now. I'm into like skin fades and doing those. And
you do lines?
No, I don't do any hot dog lines. I'm not going to make you look like a dickhead.
Okay.
Yeah. How did you learn? Was it YouTube?
No, not at all. Nothing. Literally just like got Gibbo's head and was like, that wasn't good. Don't do that again. And then I took my time. Like his haircut's taken 40 minutes like to do, and he has probably same length as you.
Okay.
So it's not hard. Shouldn't have been, but it was taking me probably 30 to 45 minutes. I take my time, and they started to get better and better and better and better. And now I can like go in. I know the lengths with the shaver I've got. Still not a great shaver. I upgraded, but wasn't much of an upgrade. I went from a
shaver shop sponsorship.
I went from a Hyundai to a Toyota. I upgraded, but I don't know. Some people think it was an upgrade. Some people won't. I don't know. They're basically on par. One was just a bit wider, I think. But I've got it down pat now, and I can just go zip, 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 get it, and I can kind of fade it in pretty well now. I've got better scissors, and I've had people offer me their old gear and stuff, so when I get back to Melbourne, I'm actually going to go and try it. And a friend of mine actually is a barber, and he said I can actually shadow him for a day or two, and he'll show me how to do it and get better. I've always loved barbering and appreciated it, and a part of me is like, I'd love to do that, just because I like to...
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like to make people feel better or, you know, whatever, but it makes them look good, you feel good, you know what it's like, you get a fresh cut, you walk out, you're like, I was a 6, I'm a 9 now. Then 4 days later when the regrowth happens, you're like, I'm a fucking 6 again. Shit.
No, I don't get that feeling too often, but you know.
No.
Yeah, no, that's alright. Fresh shave, man.
I do
like a bowling ball.
I do my own haircuts. Cheaper and easier.
I think it's great. The detail-oriented side of things, that's what matters. If you put the effort in and you focus on perfection every time, you're going to get something.
Well, that's just you in general, isn't it? No matter what you've done, whether it be barbering, basketball, buying expensive or buying hotted up cars, and you pretty much start here, which was when I first met you, you were driving your Ford Falcon?
AU Ford Falcon. I started off with a Ford Laser in 1986 or 84, 82, one of those. Ford Laser hatchback, which was $150 from the tip. And then it went to like $1,000 can't remember what it was. I think it was a Sigma, and then I had a AU Falcon.
Yeah.
And then just chipped up along the way and
worked towards getting the top one.
And now I got a mad whip now. But now you're like you get it and you're like, this is sick. But then the next thought in your head is like, what next?
What next? Yeah.
So and you gave me a really good idea the other day with the H2 Street Fighter.
Is it the ZH2?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
It's a fucking monster.
It's another bike.
Yeah.
It's a 2020 Kawasaki H2 Z1000.
Supercharged 1000.
Off its head.
Is this like a Vanuatu Mexico bike?
Yeah. So I might sell one of my other ones, which I will, and I'll keep my R1, keep my Harley and stuff. Obviously with Harley being a great sponsor, and then my dirt bike, and then I'll probably get rid of my turbo bike because it's a Street Fighter bike as well, naked bike, and I'll probably go the H2 Z1000.
Do you match your clothes to your bike?
I'm just a black rider.
Black everything.
Yeah, I've got like my helmets. I use Ruroc.
That's what I was telling you the other
day. Yeah.
Mixed bag. People like them, people don't. I like them pretty often at the time. There's like one or two helmets I've got like a carbon helmet with like a reflective lens, so it's more like your daytime stuff, and it looks real fucking stealthy. But I just ride all black. I've got like custom jackets because I'm longer arms and you know I'm a bit taller, so I need a bit of length. And the jackets, otherwise I look like Santa Claus. It just doesn't look good. But yeah, like you got to kind of dress to match.
Yeah, I just remember that one of the 50 songs from back in the day was like, I matched my car to my shoes or some shit. And I was like, you know what, that's fucking gold.
Match your car to your shoes.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Not shoes to your car, car to your shoes.
Yeah, red shoes and roll the frog, so whatever.
Yeah.
That's their bad and stuff. So
I always thought the helmet and the bike meant to match.
Yeah, I'm with that.
But that means every time you buy a bike, you buy get it in your helmet.
That's right.
So that's what I'm looking up against at the moment is, what bike do I get? And does it match my helmet currently, or do I have to...
Do you have to get a custom helmet?
Elongated melon helmet.
Just the front.
The thinking man's comment.
If I ride for more than 3 hours, I get this like indent.
Looks like the villain from The Hulk.
Yeah. Fuck.
From Green Lantern, sorry. From Green Lantern.
Yeah. It's just...
it is what it is, right?
It's part of my brand as well. I got a big head.
That's true. That's true.
All good.
Icon, Shui.
Look us up here.
RXT, whoever, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't bother me.
Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyone's good. Well, I think we've exceeded our time a little bit. We'll let you get going.
I appreciate it. Good to see you, boys.
Great. See you, dude. Welcome back. Next time we come back, I'll get a fade.
Yeah, man, I got it. I got my cutters here, so maybe soon.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe soon. Cool.
Let's do it.
Gotcha.
Thanks, man.
Boys, appreciate it. Love your work. Keep it up.
See you soon. Bye.